Spazio Lenovo chooses Milan and opens finally the doors of its cultural ecosystem. I'm very proud to be part of the presentation of this project. A big good morning to you all. This is a very important day, not only for Lenovo, because finally we restart, but allow me to say this, we restart all together with schools and services and festivals and inaugurations. Well, today's inauguration is not actually only an inauguration. It is much more than this. Why? Well, because first of all, a multicultural company such as Lenovo has chosen Italy and Milan, the capital of Europe, to open their very first concept store across Europe. And they do so with very significant investment. This is a company with 57,000 employees who come from over 60 countries across the world. So you can well imagine to what extent multiculturalism is a key foundation in the DNA of this multinational company. As you know, this is a $50 billion company that operates in 180 markets across the world and that has chosen our country and Milan today. Why is this more than inauguration? Because at the center of our debate, we have IT, information technology. As you know, we have a pre-lockdown period and a post-lockdown period. This will be unavoidable to have a post-lockdown period that will involve all segments of our society. We have learned it when we were under lockdown due to the pandemics. We learned how important it is to use technology to keep doing what we had been doing before COVID, before the pandemic. Production, work, school, we've seen that with our children, remote learning, and to stay in contact with our loved ones. So this space that today we will unveil in a ceremony, in the morning, an institutional ceremony in the first part, and then at 6:30 with a special broadcast with Alessandro Cattelan on the YouTube channel of Lenovo.it. So we will show you what this space truly is. We'll do so, of course, with the protagonists who designed and devised and made the creation of this cultural ecosystem possible, because this is not just a space, this is not just a store, this is not just a place where the Lenovo brand comes in contact with consumers and customers. It is much more than that. We'll discover that together, and we will discover that with our speakers, of course, the Lenovo top managers, Gianfranco Lanci, corporate president of Lenovo, Luca Rossi, senior VP, but also Stefano Boeri. Needless for me to introduce him. Why? Well, because the lockdown imposed on us a different vision of our spaces, from macro to micro spaces, from our house to our district to our city. And therefore we'll hear from Italians who've done a lot across the world and who have brought their Italian approach in very important multinational companies, and therefore their vision is very important for us, and we are glad to share this with you. I know that over 100 journalists were accredited, and I'd like to thank all those who are following us through the YouTube channel, and also I'd like to thank the business partners and the accredited journalists. And therefore, I would like to invite to understand what this space will offer from tomorrow, because tomorrow this space will be open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. I'd like to invite Emanuele Baldi, Country General Manager and CEO of Lenovo Italia. Here we are. Welcome. Welcome, Lavinia. Here we are. We are very happy to be here at this space. Where are we? We're at a concept store. We are in a space dedicated to presenting Lenovo's technology, and in a very cool place where normally we have fashion, and we think we are also fashionable, and therefore I think it's a very special moment. What about the date chosen? Because we know that this was announced in November 2019, but many things have happened in the meantime. Yes, many things happened. Yes, we announced it in November. The idea was to open it at the beginning of this year, but then we had these pandemics that created various problems and challenges, and so we had to postpone it. But we've chosen this date, actually this week, because this is a very special moment when the city of Milan and Italy are restarting, heading towards normality. Schools have restarted, many businesses have restarted, and I think this is our contribution to head in the direction of normality. Then from tomorrow on, this space will be available to the city. Yes, it will be available to everybody from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., as you said, and we hope that many people come to visit us, and of course our journalists who are following us are invited to come and visit physically our store in addition to the virtual tour of today. So there are many areas for display and also emotional and experiential spaces. So I think it's a must to come to this place in the next few days to understand what we are doing at Lenovo with technology. Of course, we invite everybody to come and stop by and walk in the store, in this concept store, which, as I said, is not just a way to make a brand closer to consumers, but it's also a way to make consumers able to imagine a different reality. Yes, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Very well, thank you, Emanuele Baldi, and I'm very proud. So thank you, Emanuele. We will meet later on. So see you later. So from a master of the house to another master of the house, I'm very happy and honored to have the possibility of talking to the mayor of Milan, Giuseppe Sala, who this morning has found a few minutes to come here to open the doors of this space. So I invite here with us Giuseppe Sala, mayor of Milan. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Good morning. A big thank you on our side. Today it's an important day, not only symbolically for Milan and Italy. Oh, yes. This is a very important moment. The boundary between optimism and pessimism and courage and fear is very thin. And it is so for all of us, for our families and also for our communities and for Milan. And therefore, these acts of trust are extremely important, according to me. So it's important to believe at this very moment and also this presence is in a sector that evidently will become ever more important in our lives. As I said many times, it's hard for me to say that this crisis is also an opportunity, but we have the duty to change. People want change, and therefore I believe there are some engines of change. Certainly, the focus on the environmental issues is one, and on the other side, certainly the digital technology. I think that policymakers and politicians have to pay attention to many things, but in particular to the combination between focus on the environment and digital transformation alike, of course, also pursuing social equality. Well, I like that you mentioned this act of trust. Of course, the normality of a city is also based on these small acts of trust, such as this one. Oh, yes, this is also what I hear from our fellow mayor colleagues across the world, because we all feel fathers and mothers of these communities, of our communities, and we are all seeking collaborations. I think that mayors know very, very well and understand very, very well that he or she alone cannot do much. Of course, he or she can be a leader, can lead a transformation, can lead change, but he or she must be supported by people with their energy, with their strength, with their cooperation. You know, Milan has been a great city and will keep being a great city for many reasons. But above all, this idea of a sound partnership between the private sector and the public sector is an important guarantee that will enable our city to find a new form, a new life. It will take time, undoubtedly. And by the way, we were very successful right before the pandemic. So this blow was even heavier for us. But I heard the same from the mayor of Paris and the mayor of New York. But since we can rely on some key components such as universities, creativity, industry, strong will of our citizens, well, this will enable to restart strongly and we will even be in a much better shape for the future. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for being with us. And from tomorrow, this space will be available for the city of Milan. Thank you. I'm very grateful. Thank you. Very well, and now the time has come to introduce a person whom I had the chance to study on the internet. And it wasn't easy because he's a fairly shy and discreet person. He's not very present on the media, but he is a very important Italian top manager who has brought his business skills and abroad, applied them abroad, and achieved all the goals that he set for himself. He made Lenovo become the first PC manufacturer worldwide with a market share that exceeds 20%. And he has a huge experience in the IT world. And actually, he was there when the first processor was manufactured, and he witnessed all the transformations of the PCs in the PC world. He has always had international roles, and he has this very special talent of that is to say, combining the ability of being visionary, but also being practical enough to translate visions into practice. So corporate president of Lenovo and chief operating officer. So we welcome him, we invite him virtually to our space, Gianfranco Lanci. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning to you all. Mr. President, did you hear the words of the Mayor of Milan, Beppe Sala, who talked about the importance of digital technology for the restart of our lives? How is the digital society changing according to you? Well, first of all, let me start from a very important consideration. So, when we think of digitalization, when we think of technology, according to me, according to us, well, this makes sense only if it helps us improve our lives, our daily life, our working life, our school life. And considering what we have experienced over the last 6 months, we have definitely seen that this is very important. And we will probably never go back to some situations that we had in the past. And I'm referring to the new innovations regarding remote working, remote learning, and certainly we experienced that very clearly. And I expect that we will still have people who will work from home, maybe once a week or twice a week. 1 day a week, 2 days a week, because in the end we discovered that this is not so bad and that's even useful and productive. So what will digital technology change in our life, you ask me? If we think about remote working and remote learning, well, this can change a lot. And this can change our lives a lot because we may be able to have smart cities and smart hospitals. We can already do that to a point, but we will be able, for instance, to perform surgeries remotely, or we will be able to repair, for instance, anything or any complicated systems remotely. So this will be increasingly possible in the future. And all this has, of course, various implications. And first of all, without 5G and without infrastructure, this will not be possible. And this is extremely clear to all of us. And another important thing is privacy and data security. So data must be secure and our privacy must be protected. There are surveys, for instance, that say that 70% of people working from home have doubts about the data security. Well, Mr. President, we can't hear you very well, but we understood very clearly the meaning of what you said. So you said that you are optimistic about what can happen in our cities. Then you said that technology must be intended to improve our lives. Then you said that there are some changes that are set to stay and will remain even after this period of emergency. So the society has been changed and will remain so in the future. I have another question for you. In our country, but also in other countries, what was the importance of technology to ensure some continuity in our life? So, what has been the situation of Italy like compared to that of other countries? You are Italian, but you know and you've worked in many countries across the world. Well, the situation of Italy is as follows. Well, perhaps we were very unfortunate, probably, to be the first to manage and handle the emergency. So we were the first to act, and as usually when you are the first at doing something, you cannot rely on the experience of those who came before you. Um, and certainly we had different situations. If I have to be honest, the situation today, according to me, is much better than that of other countries because all in all, we have proven to be fairly diligent in complying with the rules. Of course, we can always do better, that's evident. But certainly, we were certainly more rigorous than other countries. And certainly we suffered more than other countries simply because we were the first. We were the first to tackle this emergency. And in terms of remote working and remote learning, I think that we have done very well and sometimes even better than other countries. And what we need to do right now is, according to me, so we have to keep up with this rate of change on one side, and on the other, we have to develop more our country, in particular in relation to IT infrastructure, because as I said before, there's no digitalization possible whatsoever without infrastructure. One last question. According to you, is there also a sort of responsibility on the part of important companies such as Lenovo in relation to or towards the society? Oh, yes, there is certainly this responsibility from many points of view. As I said before, data privacy and data security. As you know, we are present from small devices such as smartphones to large data processing centers. So, or more than one-third of data processing centers across the world are Lenovo. And you can well imagine what this means in terms of data security. So privacy and data security are extremely important and fundamental. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Lanci, for being with us. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we already discussed a few things this morning, and of course we are opening up the doors of this space of this concept store of this multicultural ecosystem. This is the way I like to call it, where it will be possible to profit from Lenovo digital services as well as spaces, and to become more familiar with the brand and also with the new technologies and all the new digital innovation. The time has come to have a chat with the Senior VP of Lenovo, President Emea, Latin America, Luca Rossi. Luca Rossi, let's invite him for a chat. Here we are. Good morning, Lavinia. Good morning, Luca. Okay, we have already discussed about plenty of things. I would like to know from you, what is the idea that supports, that is behind this space? Yes. Before answering your question, please allow me to extend and express my warmest welcome to all the guests who are participating today, both those who are here physically, and we hope, of course, to have many more, but we have to comply with anti-COVID recommendations, and so we could not invite all of them, but there are many who are connected via streaming in Italy, in Europe, and across the world. So I want to welcome them very warmly, and I want to thank in particular also the representative from the institutions, Mayor Giuseppe Sala, Roberta Cocco, Councillor for Digital Transformation, and Architect Boeri. So thank you very much for standing right next to Lenovo. So back to your question. No, these acknowledgements are very good because it's clear that when the audience is not around you, it's more difficult to imagine. Well, actually, I'm very excited because it's the first live or almost live event I'm having after the lockdown. This is also true for me, but there are 100 accredited journalists, many business partners, so many people. You are many, and we thank you very, very much for being with us this morning. And of course, you have the possibility to participate through the various channels. Oh, yes, there will be also replay on the website, and then we'll have Alessandro Cattelan at 6:30 tonight. So back to your question. So you asked me why, and I would like to start from when, very quickly, because, well, we started thinking about this event towards the end of 2018. Then beginning of 2019, we had the green light. And so we said, what is going to be the city that will host this European pilot project? Oh, yes, that's important to underline. So this is the very first project. Then beginning beginning of 2019, we had the green light, and in November, we started telling the public that we were about to open. And then the tsunami arrived, and we thought we could open between February and March, but then the tsunami made us to slow down and also stopped us. But actually, we are here today, so the tsunami did not completely stop us. And I would like to say that during the stage one of the healthcare emergency, like all companies and business people, we wondered whether these investments still made sense. We had to change it or reassess it, reformulate it. I mean, that's normal. And we answered yes, let's carry on. Despite we know very well that there are permanent changes in progress in our society, remote working, remote education, remote learning, e-commerce. But we think that people still want to be part of a community, to go to physical places. I think that this is part of human nature. And though midterm, we expect this investment to actually still make a lot of sense. And so in line with our customer centricity strategy, we wanted to create a channel to interact with our customers, so companies and consumers and freelance professionals, etc. And of course, this is in line with our retail strategy in Europe. So we wanted to have a place where to show the public our technology innovation and experiment new ideas and new business models. And of course, when you are part of your experience directly, you can take more risks. So we want to create a community that gives us interesting feedbacks about consumer trends, what they like, what they don't, and we will do that. And then last but not least, and I want to refer to the relaunch of Motorola in Italy. Lenovo has acquired Motorola in 2014. We've already relaunched this brand successfully in North America and in Latin America. Last year, the time of Europe has come. And of course, Italy is a very important market for smartphones in Europe. And so we decided to select Italy as a focus market, a focal market. And so we started a year ago, and also we had Carlo Barlocco on board, who is a veteran of the smartphone universe, who decided to take the challenge with us to relaunch this brand. And so this story is one of the pieces of this puzzle. But I want to know something in particular. I wrote it down. So there is a sort of equation. So you said a lot has changed. So we talked about remote working, remote education, remote learning. So we cannot pretend that technology is not useful anymore. On the other side, you said that there is something that will not change. That is to say, this need to feel and to be part of a community. So this is my question, Luca. So Milan has always been considered and perceived as the capital of Europe. And so why did you choose Milan, first of all, then? And also, that project that was started in 2018, then after the tsunami, is it different? Did you change anything? Okay, let me answer immediately. I'm very proud. First of all, let me tell you why Italy. Italy is an important ICT market, a super important telephony market, and this is the first reason. But Italy is also a market where we need to recover some ground in terms of PCs, for instance, compared to UK and Germany. And so this is a market is important and has a lot of room for growth. Then why Milan? Well, Milan is a cutting edge city. We have sustainable mobility, technology, services for citizens, and Milan has the aspiration to be relevant in the world of culture and business, technology, and Also, there's another reason, and I'm very proud because I was born in Milan. I studied in Milan, and I started working in Milan. Now I've been in Brazil for 5 years now because I have new challenge there with Lenovo. But knowing that Lenovo has chosen Milan makes me very proud. So, Luca, can you then tell us exactly what this space is truly about? Luca. Well, it's intended to be much more than a store, but of course, we will sell Lenovo products and technology solutions because we produce PCs, smartphones, data centers, storage. So we have a wide range of products, and this will all be available here. But we have the ambition to do much more than this. So we want this place to be a place where citizens can come to have information and to learn about new technologies and participate in events, spend time in our co-working space, spend time at our bistro restaurant that we're going to inaugurate today. So also, let's say, areas that are important for socializing and for learning. Then we will inaugurate the so-called smart talks. Citizens can have information about the new trends. For instance, the first three topics will be the role of technology in education, in artificial intelligence and role of gaming. And in 2021, we'll also have some training sessions, more in-depth training sessions, and we will announce the calendar in 2021. So for the time being, we will give information, and then we will have also education, and then we'll have also press meetings. We will launch products, Lenovo products for the first time in Europe and also in the world. And we will also work with our business partners on this. And now I would like to thank our partners, our technology partners, because from the very first moment, many partners believed in us and decided to invest with us in this initiative. And so I want to thank them very much. And I want to thank Alessandro Gerelli, who is the entrepreneur from Next, who will manage this store. So he has taken on this challenge because Lenovo is a very demanding customer, but this gives you the idea of the strength of Italian entrepreneurs. Thank you very much, Luca. You were great. This is great. Yes. Well, after 6 months of blackout with events, you did great. Thank you. Thank you. See you later. See you later. So Luca explained very, very well something that we will see with images later on. And now I'm very proud to introduce an extraordinary Italian who has imagined how our spaces can change and will have to change inevitably after the pandemic that has hit our society like tsunami. So the importance of technology, respect for the environment, and the need to remain a community, perhaps in a different way, in a downsized way. So I'm very, very proud to hear from him because he has a lecture for us. So I invite Stefano Boheri to come with us. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you very much. So I'm very happy. And later I'll leave the floor to you and to your creativity. But first of all, let me ask you, how are you? Well, fairly well. It's all good. Thank you. Are we restarting? Will it be possible to restart? Is it going to be a long path? Yes, it's going to be a long path, but I think that in Milan and in Italy, we have the resources to be able to make it. And I think we had an important sign from the European Union in terms of attention and also the unity despite some initial problems. I think that there are some good prospects to restart with a new awareness because in the end we are in a situation which is different compared to where we were 7 8 months ago, and there are some worse elements, but there are some very important favorable elements. For instance, the awareness that we have to speed up some transformations that were already in progress and that are extremely important, and some are related to the world of technology, to the digital world, other are related to the environment, a new relationship with nature, new relationship with nature in cities, for instance. So these are things which we were already experiencing, but now we are all aware of them, and that's very important. Very well, now I leave you for your lecture that I will follow with a great deal of interest with all our participants. Stefano Boeri, you have the floor. Well, first of all, thank you. I think that truly we have to come to terms over the last few days with an indisputable fragility because we experienced these pandemics and this period of lockdown, also with a sort of confirmation of a sort of fragility of our species even. We felt fragile and weak in not having been able to predict what was happening, and we felt fragile in not being able somehow to react immediately and face and stop this spread that has involved the entire planet very rapidly. But together with this fragility, we also had some new feelings that we have to consider with a great deal of attention. For instance, we understood what it means to understand technology, digital technology, and master digital technology. I have to say that we have learned a lot over these last few months about technology. And I think that no country would ever dream of implementing a policy to make people more aware and master technology better. For instance, now we all know what it means to use a smartphone, to use a laptop. And also we understood that not being able to go out, and that applies to all of us from all walks of life, all ages. So we understood that daily life and work can be organized differently with different times. And we understood that work can to a point follow us and follow our body, and so the body becomes able to work anywhere thanks to technology. So these elements open up some new interesting challenging and interesting prospects. So if I think about the near future, and if I consider this great strength of the digital world, I can think of three topics. The first topic is mobility, because we are in a new scenario right now. So we don't move much, we don't travel much of late, but I think that in all cities, people will cover more short distances. Perhaps they would people will walk more and bike more, and this is also made possible thanks to shared vehicles, because we now have a network of possibilities for our cities, and this will be ever more important in the future. And we have to understand this is a very important element because this is also the evidence that cities are starting to rethink of themselves in a different way. For instance, Milan, Rome, Paris, Berlin, or North American cities, Asian cities can rethink of themselves as not just cities who live around some areas where crowd go. Think of malls or think of shopping centers, or for instance, in the past, for instance, the markets or the factories. But now cities have to invent themselves around the various quarters and districts where people can meet and can enjoy and use all services, be them commercial, cultural, information services, and so on. And of course, digital technology is key in all this because the possibility of using certain systems or certain tools and share them is extremely important. And this is a topic that is extremely interesting and challenging, according to me. Another key topic is nature, green and forestation. This is a great challenge. We've understood that nature is inside us, despite we have always tried to keep it outside our body and cities and towns. And we have understood that we have to recreate a new relationship with living nature. And for instance, over the next few months and years, we have to recreate a new relationship with trees. So trees breathe in the pollutants that have weakened our lungs. And actually, the towns where the pandemics hit the worst are also the towns that are more polluted. And therefore, having a network of digital tools that inform us and monitor, for instance, the state of our trees and what it means, for instance, for citizens to adopt trees and plant trees. For instance, in Milan, an important campaign was launched to plant 3 million trees in the city. But this should be done in Italy and in many other countries. We have to plant trees because they breathe in pollutants and CO2 and improve citizens' life. So this is also a very important topic that can help us imagine a different world in the future, a world that is developed around a different logic, about a different relationship with nature. And for instance, our Bosco Verticale, our vertical forest, is an example of this. And then, in general, I think that we have to understand that the great challenge in the future, all in all, is the challenge posed by energy. This challenge means being able to produce clean energy, not only using big energy production systems, but it would be great to produce it with more small scale and molecular systems. For instance, Jeremy Rifkin said that every house could become a power plant. And for instance, the use of hydrogen as a gas that enables us to accumulate energy. Costs were huge, but now with oil and methane, we can have sort of energy batteries. And these enable us to imagine that our houses, our quarters can produce energy, of course, by using the systems that we know, for instance, for renewable energies, photovoltaic panels, geothermal systems, wind energy systems. So we can start to think that our societies can function in a different way and produce energy in a different way, and also distribute clean energy around themselves. And all this incorporates a very important key topic. As I said before, in the end, a different mobility, and so traveling in a more agile way and with shared systems means to have better knowledge and simultaneous knowledge of the situation, for instance, of the traffic in the city. So think of the topic of smart cities. Well, smart cities are not only cities where 5G technology or Internet of Things allow us to have domotics or allow a city to have connections involving all the institutions and training centers and businesses. But this also means to enable all citizens to understand the state of things in real time. So to know what is the traffic like, the weather, places more crowded, less crowded, the healthcare situation, for instance, in areas that are more where it is possible to access healthcare services. And this is very important to monitor and control the health status of citizens. And so these invisible technologies must become tools to improve our daily life. And therefore, in the way we move, we travel, in our relationship with nature, but also in our ability to produce clean energy for all. And on the other side, and this is a very challenging yet beautiful topic, we have to try and imagine that this huge bulk of data, which is a city, and which is us, schools, institutions, all what generates business activities or cultural activities is in a city. So this huge bulk of data in cities can be accessible to all. I think this is the best challenge that we have to take on, together with the challenge of creating a new relationship with nature and have a new balance between living nature in our cities. And I think this is a great challenge, the challenge of imagining to be in a situation in the near future in which this dimension of big data is no longer seen just as a sort of big castle that is controlled in a cryptic way, and or something as a sort of something hard to understand. On the contrary, it should become a sort of common good, shared good. And Francesca Bria mentions this on the newspapers today. So this must be a great good that is available to all and that enables to all citizens on the planet not just to share information and pictures and texts as already happens, but this is very important to enable them to acquire important knowledge and information, for instance, to move around, establish a new relationship with nature, and produce clean energy differently. And this is extremely important. Also, to feel informed about the overall situation in the planet. Think of what it could mean to know what the situation is in terms of relationship between CO2 and air quality. You know that 75% of CO2 in the atmosphere come from cities, but forests breathe in and absorb 40%. So instead of waiting for yearly updates, it would be great to have a constant update about the big environmental challenges, about who is doing the greatest things in this respect and what we can do to participate. So this means that this huge bulk of data that are being collected today by monitoring cities, oceans, regions. So all these information and data should be shared with citizens so that they can react responsibly. So this notion of democratization of data, data collected everywhere, is to me one of the key and most beautiful challenges that we'll have to face in the future, with the awareness that this enables us also to have devices for our body that we can use and to access this huge amount of data. Thank you very much. So, three challenges: energy, mobility, and urban forestation. This is, in summary, what you told us. Stefano Boeri, we will meet you in a few minutes. thank you very much and see you later. And now I would like to invite Luca Rossi. Please come back with us because we are about to unveil and show you what we have right here. Welcome back, Luca. Here we are. Yes, here we are. At the we arrived at the very important moment after so much work of a lot of people whom I want to thank. I hope that this initiative is one of the contributions of Lenovo to the restart of Milan and of our country with a lot of trust in the future. Let's see what is happening. An experience that we will be able to have from tomorrow onwards. An experience for Milan, for everybody, for those who come to this town, to this street. This is an experience that you will be able to share from tomorrow. From 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we've changed our setting, and now I would like to welcome back Stefano Boeri and also Emanuele Baldi from Lenovo. And I would like to thank and welcome Roberta Cocco, Councillor for Digital Transformation and Civic Services from the Municipality of Milan. Thank you for being with us. Well, innovation, digital innovation, transformation, a city that is changing, a city that is changing also thanks to digital technology, which is never the end, but a tool to make a citizen's life easier, a tool for sustainability, and a tool that has to help us take care of people. We have changed our strategy after the terrible pandemics. So we have changed our innovation strategy. Before we were talking about technology infrastructure, digital services, digital education. Well, we still have this, but we have added a new strategy, the digital care strategy. That is to say, digital technology that takes care of people, of individuals of the city, and does so by putting itself available to others. So we're very happy of the services we developed to face these terrible pandemics, together with the Councillor for Social Policies and the Councillor for occupational activities, for instance, to provide lunch coupons to those who were in need, or to organize volunteers to distribute drugs to those who needed them, to help bars and restaurants to organize outdoor spaces to welcome their customers despite the COVID restrictions. And all this within the framework of a big digital infrastructure that must never be the end but the mean. And I have the same question for the three of you. So what perhaps only some of us, the most visionary of us, so what the most visionary of us were only imagining some 10 years ago has now become reality. So the city is changing, as we heard from Stefano Boeri. So there are some things that were only ideas, but now are starting to become a reality. So what should we expect from the next 15 years? Emanuele, I start from you. Well, first of all, let's talk about that by focusing on technology, since Lenovo is a technology company. So let me look back 15 years ago. You said we could imagine many things, but these things were only ideas. Well, however, the pandemic has developed the technology a great deal, and especially mobility. For instance, we had many smartphones. We always had many smartphones in Italy, but the use of mobility was not complete. On the contrary, the pandemics had to make us a big step forward and obliged us to use mobility in its entirety. And now we are ready to make another step forward because now technology is available, we are using it, we master it. So what should we do now? Well, I think that over the next few years, perhaps 15 years is a bit too long, but we already see what is going to happen in the future. For instance, take artificial intelligence. It is not only applied to backend and big data in what is in data centers, but also to device clients, so individual IT associated with 5G, connectivity, broadband, large availability of data. So we are already imagining what artificial intelligence can do on the client with high speed in remote systems. And so this gives us information, not just data, information in real time, available information to start, to study, to work for healthcare purposes. Today, 5G and artificial intelligence are at the beginning, but there will be a huge development in the future that will impact devices. We make back-end and front-end devices, and these devices have to change. And in the past, we were wondering, what could we do with all this processing power? And now we can do so because artificial intelligence with broadband require these processing power, different systems and different devices. And so we will start to think about thin and light and aesthetically nice devices, but also more powerful because we will have this need to have more computational power to generate and give me the possibility to work in a different way. Lenovo is already working in this way. And the first thing we'll see, for instance, the foldable notebooks are going to be the same products. And these are similar to today's notebooks, but also have different functionalities for the future. So the future is now. We just have to express it. The future is now is a claim from the 80s, actually. It's true, the future is now, and that claim was very successful. And this space will enable all of us to profit from this and experience all this. It's very interesting to hear the answer to my question to Lenovo. You said you will focus on artificial intelligence and software technology and 5Gs, and so the importance of this computational power. We didn't know what to do with it 5 years ago, but now we know. And you, Roberta Cocco, from your point of view, so you are involved in digital transformation for services to citizens. So we heard about the importance of 5G. We are still in its infancy. So I have the same question, and I'm waiting for an answer from your point of view. Well, starting from 5G, so Milan has been and still is the largest European area where 5G is being experimented. So we started with a project from the Ministry of Economic Development that has paved the way for this possibility with over 40 experimental projects around 5Gs, and all IT companies are involved. What does 5G mean for citizens? Well, it must be in services because technology must not stay in laboratories, but must be made available to the citizens. And a public administration like ours has to offer the value of technology to citizens. For instance, if I talk about latency, I don't think many people can understand. But if I say that a surgeon can be at thousands of kilometers from the person that is being submitted to surgery, and probably that's much easier to understand what I'm saying and the value behind this technology. And this can be applied to many areas, the area of security. Think of drones. Our children play with drones, but think of drones for people safety and security. For instance, when there are crowds in some areas, or I'm thinking of parks, and I often discuss with Stefan about that. So technology and innovation must be a service for people. Otherwise, it's useless. It's a sterile. It's a nice experience for labs, but has no value for people. And also, in terms of civic public services, we are working so that the needs of citizens can be met in the simplest possible way through technology. During the pandemics, we developed a project I'm very proud on. For instance, we had the citizens file. Milanese citizens could log on a computer in our website and see all their certificates and fines and information. But we realized that during the pandemic that people could not come to our offices, and so we launched during the pandemic an app for our citizen file, because actually people and citizens should all be able to use their smartphone and do all the activities and all the things that they would do in the past by going to municipal offices. And this is favorable for the environment as well. Of course, we cannot do everything in this way. So we will keep our desks for people who have to come, and offices for people who have to ask for information. But this app has proved very beneficial. And we had more than 85% of certificates being downloaded through this app. And of course, if we simplify services, citizens will use them. So we have to use technology so that a citizen can take the smartphone and click a couple of buttons and have a service. So again, future is now. Stefano Boeri, I take a few notes while you were speaking. For instance, she said that the municipality must be very close to the citizens, and also that citizens must be able to do all what they need in their quarters. Oh, certainly, that's true. For instance, cities such as Paris have started experimenting the project of the 15 minutes maximum to have public services. And also Milan has implemented a similar idea. Barcelona has worked on the topic of mobility with a very interesting idea of with a system of big blocks within which mobility is made easier and made pedestrian. So we're all heading in this direction. Of course, this huge acceleration imposed by the pandemics and is associated with many challenges. I mentioned the three of them, but also let's think of the relationship between freedom of movement and the system of automated vehicles, driverless vehicles. For instance, we have to understand what the degree of freedom should be for instance, driverless or automated vehicles. Another important topic is safety and security. And this is very much related to the topic of privacy that we'll all have to face in the future. So feeling safe in a city is very important, but we know sometimes feeling safe implies being monitored sometimes. So this is also important also from the legal standpoint and must be faced appropriately. And then the third topic that is very important, involves me directly, and I'm thinking of Triennale di Milano, is about artificial intelligence and augmented reality. For instance, augmented reality in many museums is used to involve the visitors, the public. For instance, with MoMA, we are developing some systems to allow people to visit museums and have an enhanced experience with sculptures or paintings by making them, for instance, 3D. And so we have to understand whether this will make us lose the relationship with the real work of art. And this is interesting. This opens up many new and interesting challenges. So opportunities, Mayor Sala said that before. So he said, this is an act of trust. So he said, it's hard for me to say that the crisis and the pandemics is an opportunity because actually the pandemic had some very dramatic impacts. But these small steps in the direction of trust that we have to make. So I'd like to thank Roberta Cocchi, the Councillor for Digital Transformation of City of Milan, and also many thanks to Stefano Boeri. And so, Emanuele, we're about to close. So we would like you to draw some conclusions. Very well. But since we are closing and in the next half an hour, this space is made available to the public, and from tomorrow, not only this floor, but also the others will be available. I would like to invite Milanese people and all the people to come visit this place, not only to see our products, but to have the experiences that and share the experiences that we offer. So my invitation is to come by, walk in our space, and see what we have in store for you. Thank you all. Thank you to all who are following us through the YouTube channel. Then we'll have a second appointment for the inauguration of this concept store at 6:30 with Alessandro Catalan later on. Thank you all again, and thanks for joining, and come by to discover the secrets of this extraordinary Lenovo space.